My name's Ava Montgomery, and if you told me 11 years ago that I'd be standing in a glass mansion overlooking the Pacific, I would have laughed in your face. Back then, I was the family disappointment, the dreamer who never fit in. Now, the only sound in this house is the soft hum of the espresso machine and the faint jazz playing in the background. My assistant just left. I'm halfway through signing contracts worth more than my parents' entire estate when I hear it, the chime of the front gate. At first, I think it's a delivery. But when I glance at the security monitor, my hand freezes midair. There they are. Them. The same people who excluded me from every family reunion for over a decade. The same faces that turned away when I needed them most, now standing at my gates, dressed in Sunday smiles. I almost laugh. Not out of joy, but disbelief. After all these years of silence, this is how the universe decides to entertain me? I slip my phone into my pocket, smooth my silk blouse, and walk toward the door. Each step echoes against the marble floor, calm, deliberate, powerful. Inside, my heart pounds like it remembers every insult, every tear. But on the outside, I smile. The kind of smile you wear when the tables finally, beautifully, turn. The last time I saw them, really saw them, was the summer I turned 21. The Montgomery family reunion was always the same: polished smiles, overcooked barbecue, and conversations about whose kid got into Yale or who just bought a lake house. I wasn't invited that year. I found out through Instagram, my cousin tagging everyone at the ranch in Montana, wearing matching shirts that said, "Family Forever." Except me. When I called my mother, her voice was careful, rehearsed. "Sweetheart, we didn't think you'd want to come. You've chosen a different path." Different path. That's what she called it when I dropped out of college to chase my design career. They said I was being unrealistic. My uncle called me a waste of potential. My father, he just stayed silent. Silence that hurt more than their words ever did. That night, I sat in my tiny apartment in Seattle, the one with paint-chipped walls and a leaky faucet, scrolling through those reunion photos. My chest burned, my eyes stung, but I refused to cry. I still remember holding the little silver locket my grandmother gave me before she passed. She was the only one who believed in me. Inside it was a small note, her handwriting looping and elegant. "They won't see your light until it blinds them, Ava." I whispered that line like a prayer. That was the night I made a promise to myself. No more begging to be loved by people who only knew how to measure worth by last names and trust funds. The next morning, I packed my life into 2 suitcases and took the first bus out. I didn't know where I was headed, only that I was done being their invisible daughter. It was terrifying, walking away from everything familiar. But somehow, that fear felt cleaner than staying where I was unwanted. As the bus rolled out of Seattle, I watched the city lights blur into gold streaks through my tears. I pressed the locket to my heart and whispered, "One day, they'll remember me. And when they do, I'll make sure it's worth it." Starting over wasn't glamorous. It was survival. For the first few months, I lived in a shared studio in Portland, working double shifts at a coffee shop that smelled like burnt beans and ambition. I'd sketch designs on napkins during breaks, my hands smelling like espresso and desperation. My coworkers went out partying. I stayed behind, hunched over my laptop, watching tutorials, learning everything I could about interior design and architecture. I had no connections, no degree, just raw obsession. Then one night, a woman named Dana Hollis came in, tall, silver hair, tailored coat, the kind of presence that made people sit up straighter. She noticed the sketches scattered around the counter. "These yours?" she asked, eyes sharp but kind. I nodded, embarrassed. She studied them for a long moment, then said, "Come by my office tomorrow. 11 sharp. Don't be late." That single sentence changed everything. Dana turned out to be one of Portland's top luxury home designers. She became the mentor I never knew I needed, brutally honest but fiercely protective. She taught me how to see beauty where others saw waste, how to command respect in rooms that weren't built for women like us. I worked like a woman possessed. Long nights, early mornings, too much coffee, and too little sleep. There were days I'd sit on the floor of my apartment, staring at unpaid bills, whispering, You're not going back, Ava. Not ever. Then came the first win. A boutique cafe owner loved my interior concept and hired me for $3,000. I cried that night. Not because of the money, but because someone finally believed in my vision. From there, the wins grew. One project turned into three. A small business loan, a growing client list, and within 5 years, Montgomery Designs was born. I never used my family name publicly. I wanted every success, every headline, to be mine alone. By year 7, I was designing celebrity homes and luxury office spaces across the West Coast. My brand became synonymous with elegance and innovation. Still, I never posted anything flashy. My social media showed sunsets, coffee cups, maybe a sketchbook, nothing that screamed millionaire. Because deep down, I didn't want them to see me yet. Not until I was truly untouchable. Dana used to say, "There's power in silence, Ava. Let your results speak louder than your explanations." And they did. When she passed away, I bought her favorite ocean view lot and built a glass mansion in her honor, the one I live in now. Every corner, every design choice whispers her lessons back to me. Sometimes, when I stand on the balcony at night, watching city lights shimmer below, I still hear my grandmother's voice echoing with Dana's. They won't see your light until it blinds them. And maybe, just maybe, tonight was the night that light finally reached them. The doorbell rang again, softer this time, as if even the sound knew it didn't belong here. Through the frosted glass, I saw familiar outlines. My mother's pearl earrings, my father's rigid stance, my brother's impatient tapping. 11 years hadn't changed their habits, just their expectations. I took a deep breath, fixed the collar of my white silk blouse, and opened the door. Silence. For a moment, no one said a word. Their eyes darted behind me, over the marble foyer, the curved staircase, the massive abstract painting I'd commissioned from a New York artist. My father's jaw tightened. My mother blinked twice, as if her brain was trying to process a reality she'd once sworn would never exist. "Ava," she finally whispered, voice trembling. "It's been so long." I smiled, small, polite. 11 years. But who's counting? Her eyes flicked to the foyer again. "You live here? Alone?" "I manage," I said lightly. My brother, Jason, stepped forward. "We were in town for the reunion," he said, avoiding my gaze. "Thought we'd drop by." Drop by. Like this was casual. Like they hadn't once erased me from every family group chat and Christmas card list. "Of course," I said, stepping aside. "Come in." They walked in, each one moving slower than the last. I could almost feel the weight of their curiosity pressing against the glass walls. The house reflected everything they tried to ignore, success built without their blessing. My mother brushed her hand along the marble counter. "This is stunning. Who designed it?" "I did," I said simply. Her hand froze. My father finally spoke. "You're still in design?" "I own Montgomery Designs," I said, turning to face him. "We handle luxury residential and corporate spaces across the coast." Jason's mouth dropped slightly. "You own that? The one featured in Forbes' Home last year?" "That's the one." They looked at each other, stunned, embarrassed, but trying to hide it behind 4 smiles. My mother laughed nervously. We always knew you had potential, darling." Her words were honey over broken glass. "That's funny," I said, my tone soft but sharp. Because the last thing I remember hearing was, "You're throwing your future away." No one spoke. My father adjusted his watch, a nervous habit. "Ava, that was a long time ago. We all say things." "You didn't say them," I cut in gently. "You just watched." He looked away. I gestured toward the living room. "Please sit. Let's be civilized." They settled on the velvet sofa, surrounded by soft gold light and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Pacific. For the first time, I was the one who felt calm, centered. My assistant, Chloe, appeared with a tray of tea. My mother's eyes widened slightly. "You have staff." "Team," I corrected with a smile. "Not staff. Everyone here earns their place." Jason glanced around awkwardly. "So, you've done well for yourself." I have, I said, meeting his eyes. And I did it without the Montgomery name. Just Ava. The silence that followed was delicious, the kind that hums with unspoken regret. Then, my mother whispered, "We missed you at the reunions." "Did you?" I asked softly, because the last time I checked, no one asked where I was. Her eyes welled up. "We were wrong, Ava." For a moment, the little girl inside me, the one who once stared at those reunion photos, wanted to cry. But the woman I'd become just exhaled slowly. "It's strange," I said, almost to myself. "How easy it is to rewrite history once the view looks better from my balcony." None of them replied. The truth had already filled the room, louder than any words I could have spoken. I poured myself a cup of tea, the spoon clinking softly against the porcelain, the only sound in the room. My family sat there, staring at me like I was a stranger wearing my own face. It was almost poetic. For years, they'd called me the black sheep. Now they were sitting in my living room, wrapped in the quiet discomfort of their own regret. "So," I said finally, breaking the silence, "what brings you here?" Because somehow, I doubt this is just a friendly drop-in. Jason cleared his throat. "Dad's business, it's struggling. The firm lost a major contract." "Where?" My father shot him a sharp look, but it was too late. The truth was already out. My mother clasped her hands. "We didn't come here for money, Ava. We just wanted to reconnect." I smiled faintly. "And if I offered help, that would just be a coincidence, right?" No one spoke. I leaned back against the sofa, crossing my legs. You know, for 11 years, I imagined this moment. I thought I'd scream, or throw them out, or rub my success in their faces. But now that you're here, I don't feel angry. I just feel done. My father shifted uncomfortably. "Ava, we made mistakes. We were trying to protect you." "Protect me? By excluding me? By pretending I didn't exist?" I asked quietly. "You didn't protect me, Dad. You taught me that love has conditions, unless you fit the mold." He looked down, and for the first time, I saw shame flicker across his face. I took a slow breath. "I'll help, but not with money." Their eyes shot up. "If you want my help," I continued, "there are terms. Jason, you'll come work at my community design nonprofit. No title, no perks. You'll learn what it means to build from scratch." Jason blinked, stunned. "You want me to work for you?" "No," I said calmly. "With me. Big difference." Then I turned to my mother. "You've always cared about appearances. How things look. I'm donating to a women's shelter downtown. They need someone to organize events and fundraising. You'll volunteer there for 6 months. Her eyes widened. "Ava, that's not negotiable." I interrupted softly. "Correct. It's not." Finally, my gaze fell on my father, the man whose silence carved deeper wounds than words ever could. "You always told me Montgomerys don't apologize," I said. "But maybe that's why we keep breaking the same hearts. You want me to believe you've changed? Start there." He swallowed hard. "I'm sorry," he said, voice barely above a whisper. For a moment, I let the words hang between us, fragile, late, but real. I nodded. "That's a start." Then I stood. "You all came here expecting money, comfort, maybe validation. But what I'm offering is a mirror. Look into it long enough, and you might see who I became, not to spite you, but because you left me no choice." As they stood to leave, I added one last thing. "When you're ready to reconnect, not out of need, but out of respect, my door will be open. Until then, let's call this balance." None of them argued. Not this time. It's been 3 weeks since that day. The house feels quieter, lighter, like it finally exhaled. My family kept their distance, just as I expected. But something about the silence feels different now. Not lonely, peaceful. Every morning, I still make my coffee the same way, 2 sugars, 1 cream, and sit by the wide glass window overlooking the ocean. It's become my ritual, the space where I remind myself how far I've come. Sometimes I replay their visit in my mind, the awkward glances, the forced smiles, the apologies that almost felt sincere. And for the first time, it doesn't hurt. Because I finally understand something. Forgiveness isn't about letting them back in. It's about freeing the version of yourself that kept waiting for them. Last night, a package arrived, no return address. Inside was a small jewelry box. When I opened it, I found my grandmother's old locket, the one I'd lost years ago. Inside was the same note, but now there was something new, a handwritten message from my mother. "You were right, Ava. We finally see your light." I stared at it for a long time, my eyes stinging but my heart steady. Maybe it wasn't an apology. Maybe it was something better, a beginning. I walked out onto the balcony, the sea breeze brushing against my hair. The world below shimmered, city lights stretching out like possibilities. I pressed the locket against my heart again, the same way I had 11 years ago on that bus out of Seattle. Only this time, it didn't feel like armor. It felt like peace. "They won't see your light until it blinds them," Grandma had written. I smiled. "Well, Grandma, I think they finally squinted." As the sun dipped below the horizon, I whispered my final thought, the one I'd been saving all these years, the one that would end my story, my voice steady, sure, and soft. After 11 years, they finally showed up at my door. But I didn't need their validation to open it, because the woman who once begged to be seen now shines on her own. Fade out.